It starts with a simple swipe. A customer walks into a restaurant, hands over their credit card, and hears a familiar beep as the POS system processes the payment. In seconds, transaction is complete and the customer walks away, completely unaware of what just happened behind the scenes. What this customer doesn't know is that this POS system is compromised, infected with a silent piece of malware. As the card is swiped, the malware captures every detail: the number, expiration date, CVV, and even the merchant's information. This stolen data is then encrypted and sent to the remote server operated by a figure known only as Track 2. From there, the stolen credit card data is sorted, categorized, and uploaded to an underground marketplace, where criminals worldwide can purchase it with ease. But who is Track 2 and how did he build a global empire from stolen data? In the mid-2000s, a hidden economy was thriving beneath the surface of internet. It wasn't visible on the website you visited every day. It was the world of carding, a global network where stolen credit card data was bought and sold like any other commodity. At its heart were forums with names like Carter's Market, Carter Planet, and Carding World. These were the digital marketplaces for criminals. They operated like underground eBay clones where stolen credit card data, known as dumps, could be purchased by anyone who knew where to look. Sellers listed their products, buyers left reviews, and everything was paid for in digital currencies to ensure anonymity. A credit card dump wasn't just a number, it was a key to someone else's money. This data, taken from the magnetic stripe of a credit card, allowed criminals to clone physical cards or make online purchases. A single working dump could be sold for $20 to $100, depending on the credit limit and quality. And with the right connections, a seller could move thousands of dumps every week. One of the more prominent sellers was NCUX. His name began appearing in listings across multiple forums, always attached to high-quality dumps. While most vendors struggled to maintain consistency or faced frequent bans, NCUX became a reliable seller in the carding world. His listings often included details such as country of issuance, where US cards were highlighted as premium, card type, where buyer could choose between credit or debit, and success rate. Vendors like NCUX would guarantee a certain percentage of working cards, offering replacements if a card was declined. Liberty Reserve was the standard for transactions, ensuring anonymity for both buyers and sellers. It allowed users to convert real money into digital currency, Liberty Reserve dollars or euros, through third-party exchangers. These exchangers operated independently, often in poorly regulated jurisdictions, and required no identity verification, making the entire process almost impossible to trace. Once loaded with digital currency, users could send payments instantly using only account numbers. No personal details were required, and Liberty Reserve didn't log identifying information about the sender or recipient. Transactions were fast, cheap, and completely anonymous, qualities that made it the perfect tool for cybercriminals. For vendors like NCUX, Liberty Reserve was essential. It allowed him to operate on carding forums with confidence, collecting payments for stolen credit card dumps without leaving a trail. Buyers could quickly load their accounts, make purchases, and move on, making Liberty Reserve the backbone of the underground carding economy. By 2007, carding activity had reached a global scale with billions of dollars in fraudulent transactions. Agencies like the US Secret Service began to actively monitor these forums, logging transactions, tracking user activity, and attempting to identify key players. NCUX was already on their radar. His high volume of sales and consistent presence in major carding forums made him a person of interest. While his identity remained unknown, his activities were leaving behind a digital trail. For investigators, it wasn't just about stopping the sale of stolen credit cards, it was about dismantling the network that allowed sellers like NCUX to thrive. In this hidden economy, NCUX wasn't just another player, he was quickly becoming a central figure. But his rise in the shadows also meant that law enforcement's focus was narrowing, and the hunt for him was just beginning. For years, NCUX was a trusted name in the underground carding world, supplying stolen credit card dumps with unmatched reliability. But by 2009, his activity started to fade. Fewer listings appeared in his shops, his presence on forums became sporadic, and then he vanished. Shortly after NCUX's disappearance, a new name began making waves: Track2. At first glance, Track2 seemed like just another vendor, but law enforcement quickly noticed striking similarities between Track2 and NCUX. The quality of dumps, the structure of operations, and even the customer base felt eerily familiar. Track2's operation was more sophisticated than anything the carding world had seen. Unlike NCUX, who primarily relied on forums, Track2 introduced automated shops that revolutionized the buying process. These platforms allowed buyers to filter stolen cards by region, bank, or type, add dumps to a virtual cart, just like a legitimate e-commerce site, complete purchases instantly with digital currencies like Liberty Reserve, and access the stolen data immediately after payment. Track2's system eliminated the need for direct communication, reducing risks for both buyer and seller. It was efficient, scalable, and nearly impossible to trace. His business exploded, flooding the market with stolen data at an unprecedented rate. Track2's success in the world of cybercrime rested on the sophisticated malware he deployed to infiltrate POS systems. These systems, used in restaurants, hotels, and retail stores, processed millions of transactions daily, and their often outdated or poorly secured infrastructure made them vulnerable targets. Track2's malware exploited these weaknesses to capture sensitive credit card information in real time, fueling his massive underground carding operation. The malware was primarily installed on POS systems through various methods. One of the most effective techniques involved exploiting remote desktop protocols, or RDP, a common tool for remotely accessing computers. Track2 and his team scanned the internet for POS systems with open RDP connections, often left unsecured by default passwords, or worse, no passwords at all. Once access was gained, the malware was installed directly onto the system. In some cases, the malware was introduced via phishing campaigns, where employees of targeted businesses were tricked into downloading malicious software disguised as legitimate updates or documents. Another method involved attacking third-party vendors who manage POS systems for multiple businesses, allowing the malware to spread to numerous locations at once. Once installed, the malware operated silently in the background. Its purpose was simple but devastating: to monitor the POS system's random access memory. When a customer swiped their credit card, the system temporarily stored the card's details in RAM while processing the transaction. This encrypted data included the cardholder's name, number, expiration date, and CVV code. The malware was programmed to detect this specific pattern of data in real time. When a match was found, it captured the information immediately. The stolen data was then encrypted to avoid detection and transmitted to remote servers controlled by Track2. These servers, hosted by bulletproof hosting providers in jurisdictions with weak cybersecurity regulations, ensured that law enforcement could not easily take them down. Once the data arrived on the server, it was meticulously organized. Cards were sorted by their country of issuance, type, and issuing bank. This categorization made the data ready for sale on Track2's automated carding shop, 2pack.cc, where buyers could easily search for and purchase stolen credit card information. Track2's malware was so effective because it exploited a critical vulnerability in many POS systems: the brief moment when card data existed in unencrypted form. Many businesses were unaware of this weakness and lacked the cybersecurity measures needed to detect or remove the malware. As a result, the software could operate undetected for months or even years, stealing millions of credit card numbers and enabling Track2 to build his global carding empire. By 2010, the US Secret Service had spent years tracking two prolific aliases in the carding world: NCUX, who disappeared in 2009, and Track2. While initially treated as separate entities, the similarities between their operations became too striking to ignore. Both exhibited the same quality stolen data, used familiar infrastructure, and catered to the same group of buyers. Investigators suspected they were dealing with the same individual, but needed the proof. Key evidence came from the server data. A forensic analysis of Track2's infrastructure uncovered servers' IPs that had previously hosted platforms tied to NCUX. Next, investigators examined financial transactions. Both aliases heavily relied on Liberty Reserve for payments. By analyzing Liberty Reserve accounts, agents found overlapping patterns, including the use of the same third-party exchangers to fund accounts tied to both NCUX and Track2. Then came the digital breadcrumbs. Metadata from forum posts, timestamps, and logging habits revealed that both aliases operated during similar time frames, often aligning with business hours in Moscow. This information helped narrow the investigation further. Combining these findings with intelligence from international partners, the Secret Service identified the man behind both aliases: Roman Valerievich Seleznev, a Russian hacker with a history of cybercrime. While the evidence against Seleznev was solid, his location in Russia presented a significant challenge. Without an extradition treaty, capturing him would require patience and precision. For the Secret Service, the hunt was now focused on one man, and they knew it was only a matter of time before he made a mistake. By 2014, the US Secret Service had built a rock-solid case against Roman Valerievich Seleznev, the mastermind behind the aliases NCUX and Track2. For years, Seleznev operated with impunity from Russia, where extradition to the US was impossible. His automated carding shop, 2pack.cc, had facilitated the theft and sale of millions of credit card dumps, causing billions of dollars in global damages. But no empire lasts forever, and Seleznev was about to make a critical mistake. In July 2014, Seleznev made a fatal decision to leave the safety of Russia. He traveled to Maldives, a tropical destination that didn't offer him the same legal protections as his homeland. The US Secret Service, in collaboration with local authorities, acted swiftly. As Seleznev relaxed on the island, agents moved in. In a carefully coordinated operation, they arrested him at the Malé International Airport. His laptop, which contained over 1.7 million stolen credit card numbers, was seized during this arrest. The device was a treasure trove of evidence, linking him directly to the crimes he had committed over the years. Seleznev was immediately extradited to Guam and later to the US mainland to face charges. In court, prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence against Seleznev: his connection to the carding shop 2pack.cc and the stolen credit card data it sold, server logs, Liberty Reserve payment records, and forum messages tying him to his pseudonyms NCUX and Track2. His laptop, which served as a digital diary of his crimes, containing detailed records of his activities and stolen data. Seleznev was charged with 38 counts, including wire fraud, intentional damage to a protected computer, and possession of unauthorized access devices. In 2017, he was sentenced to 27 years in prison, the longest ever sentence for a cybercriminal in the United States.